Welcome to my channel, Tools for Ascension by Wolfgang, and this is Wolfgang, and this is Kirstie Lauren.
Hello, everyone.
And we will be talking about multidimensionality. We will be talking and clearing too, kind of a guided meditation situation. And this time we will be talking about the sixth dimension and clearing this. What this clearing is called a scoop. Or no, scope. Pretty much the same thing here. Big clearing, by Kirstie. So Kirstie, please tell us, what should we know about the sixth dimension and how does it affect humanity?
The sixth dimension is a place that can often be thought about as opposed to thinking of the fifth dimension in general. It is something that can be thought of as the realm of creation, as in the realm of manifestation. This is where things happen very quickly. So you can think of it as if you're going up in an elevator and you are going to the sixth realm, the sixth floor, and having that as a place to work in, as a place to build your life, to set goals, to create.
So probably most of our viewers are familiar, with visualization, for manifestation, daydreaming and etc., defining in principle what you want, not in detail. So this means now, if you want to manifest, we go deep into our heart, because, you said before, it's better to access the higher dimensions through the portals of the heart instead of the crown chakra, because there's too much contamination going on, on those levels. These here cannot be, let's say, sabotaged that well. They can be blocked, through trauma, heartbreak, etc. That's why we clear this kind of stuff. All right, so, we go in there and then daydream, for the highest good, or what is the process there?
Well, anything you wish to create in your life, you can visualize it, you can play. The light of play is a wonderful tool. So almost as if when you perhaps were younger and playing house or playing and deciding all the things exactly how you wanted and where they were going to be. So in that sort of way, that is a very, very good tool to use, to work with. And also being in that place of feeling that everything that you're creating in that realm, you already have. So with that, you can feel the vibration instantly, and spending time breathing that feeling into your being and really savoring that juicy feeling. And then when you have decided that everything in there is exactly as you so choose, then visualizing a rainbow container engulfing all of this and sending love to this place and going back.
Going back?
Going back down the elevator, or
Oh, coming back home.
however,
Yeah, yeah.
however you choose.
Coming
Yeah.
back to reality. Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, yeah, this is, I mean, the way you explain it there, I mean, really resonates with me. So I saw myself, as this little boy, and, you don't even need a toy car. I mean, kids, they're just, hey, you just go like this, boom, 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 and this is the bus or a race car, whatever you want, and you revel in that feeling, And surely enough, with all of my clients, when they're not in touch with the inner child, and the inner child is abandoned, it doesn't matter how much money they have or the position they have, they're not happy because the inner child isn't happy, they cannot play with this. So it seems to be a good idea, at least for me, to have my inner child and my inner teen, start playing around, till they like it. And then, that's a wonderful idea. So this is how you use them, the sixth dimension. Now, of course, there is a lot of, or there are a lot of obstacles there, that prevent us, maybe disappointment, or whatever is there, maybe magic, or trauma, or technology. So what are the, biggest resistance or obstacles, on the six dimensions for humans at this time in general?
The biggest obstacle is not the biggest obstacle is not using your imagination.
Okay. Now, the people that are really using imagination, is Hollywood. The artists there. I mean, it's a mecca for artists, I would say. Of course, you have to align with the common goal, what that always has been. Schopenhauer, actually, he wrote a book, The World is Imagination. And, as will and imagination. The
imagination is limitless and the mind is limited. And for many, it has been something that maybe hasn't been a place that they've visited, but doing this even just once, however, more often is recommended, but it builds almost like a muscle where it starts to become a place that is familiar and a place that is home. And noticing that this place starts to become your entire world.
Yeah, it seems to become like you do your own guided meditation. You go to the place of your greatest happiness, whatever that is, whether it's a beach or bling bling place, and take it from there. So now I remember what I tried to express with Hollywood. So there you have extreme imagination there, the best, so to say. And then we watch this and, we just become passive observer of other people's imagination, instead of reading a book where we, take the template of those letters there, and then with our imagination we're filling out this template. How Billy Bob looks like, and Aunt Betty, her voice, etc. We recreate this in our head. Now, what's the opinion of your high self? So giving, your attention over to these creative, videos, films, this is a good thing or a bad thing for us?
With intention, it can be good, but most cases it is creating programming in the subconscious, and almost like a mental fog that is similar to a frequency of addiction. And the being then turns off that light and the ability to want to learn and to create. It's almost like an autopilot. So it's best to be mindful of entertainment. The word entertainment has the word enter, and there's a lot of wonderful tools that can be shared about clearing the subconscious and best, if have the choice, to read, because when reading, you are creating your own world. So it's like building that muscle even with reading a book. And that's something that is almost being lost in the population. And more time, more energy. Energy is a better word. More energy can be used with reading.
Yeah, it trains your mind, and your muscle of imagination does not atrophy. Instead of just passively, watching the boob tube. It's like your life-giving entertainment. Very, very good point. So the let's say there is also a good way of using those public media. I mean, besides programs like this. Many years ago, I was told by a friend, they had a Tibetan monk residing with them for a while, was giving lectures, and they said, no, he watched TV, creamy, gangster stories, anything else, and he said that he would love his butt off. He would, greed, lust, he would see these videos, through the perspective of spiritual psychology. And so you can do so. Of course, that breaks the illusion. And on top of it, of course, I'm a cameraman, and so I look how it was done, the lighting, the CG and all that. Okay. So there are lots of, we're not using it. We're not using, So, what can be done, to stimulate ourselves? To start daydreaming in a positive way. Probably most daydreaming is in a negative way, right? We imagine, when I go to town, I might get lost, I might have a car accident, and whatever else can happen. We many times, we dwell on the things that go wrong, I think. So we like to have that clear, the tendency, to visualize the dark, and then we like to have the tendency to visualize the good, the positive. And actually, I'm just getting a download, the thing with smiling and frowning. When you're frowning, you start visualizing the dark outcomes, and to track that, it's future, and you're smiling, you're visualizing the good outcomes more, in tendency. Whatever you visualize is going to be more positive and creating positive outcomes. But, can we have a clearing of the habit, of of visualizing a bad outcome. But now, before, we are the guinea pigs here, right? So, of the negative visualization, with Kirstie, how much, of all the visualizations she does, daydreaming, whatever we want to call it, let's say her daydreaming is 100%, how much of that is positive?
89% is positive.
Okay. All right. So now for Wolfgang, this is going to be embarrassing. It's going to be very embarrassing. So hands down, how much is it?
65%.
Oh, that's better than I thought. Cool. All right. And, we asked that, our audience, please ask your own higher guidance, see what kind of number pops up, for your negative visualization. Pretty please ask now. All right. And now we asked for clearing of all the pain body stuff or tendencies for us to be frowning and, the habit of negative visualization. Pretty please.
So with that, the yellow Andromedan dragon, the Arcturian Council, the Lemurian Council, and the Syrian Council are all recommended. And you can visualize a flame coming down all the way through the back of your mind, down through the sides of the forehead, the crown chakra, the chin, and the back of the neck. Tia ta ta ata ta ata ta ata ta shuntu runtu katakayon. Koyan tayan 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 shu. Kian tayatak atakayoto huntaya. Kian tayata. Kuyayo taya taya sotokoron. Kiana taata 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 tosintakaya. Kur. Melting, 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 melting. Shoo. Collapsing, shoo. Collapsing, shoo. Collapsing, 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 collapsing. Dissolving, 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 dissolving. Now visualizing a purple flame going down first with your left ear, down your left ear, down through the ears, deep down, and then the right ear, kuyanta tak ataka tosantak ataka suntak ataka taka tokorn tatatata shuntaka ataka Kion tkorund kotkorund 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 tian tak atkatkatkatka shunt atkarund katkarund atkarund Kuyana toyana 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 releasing 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 There you go.
So we cleared now, the resistances towards playful imagination. So I think one of the methods I like to use, to bless the future, which is probably quite beneficial for everybody, is to flood the timeline with source love. So at least you have an emotional and otherwise auspicious path onto you. So what does your high self think about that method?
That is a great method. The best word to use is realm.
The future realm.
The future realm.
Future, okay. Yeah, that's probably easier. Oh my God, I'm feeling a lot of pain suddenly in my heart. This could be from anywhere. So let's just ask, where is that from?
Distortion in the lower chakra of the heart.
So is this due to some past lifetime or this lifetime trauma, or how would that be explained?
It's from past lifetime, and it's a similar field as a Horcrux.
Now, please explain to people what a Horcrux is.
So a Horcrux is like a implanting of a sorcerer's soul embedded in the mesh of the energy body.
There's somebody else's soul or soul fragment attached to me?
Yes.
Good. Now this happens, in a lot in magic. That another entity is in touch, to somebody. Let's say I've seen it with, like a knight who was a bodyguard to a king, and a violent criminal was attached to him. And so when it came down to it, to defending the king, this one stepped in and was just ruthless slaughtering everybody, without remorse. As gladiators also, we did a lot of that stuff. Intermeshing a gladiator with a bear soul or some other being. Anything from gargoyle to more demoniac stuff. So, how many, is this a lot with people having something like this attached to you?
Yes.
A lot of people suffer from this. Now, how do they affect, having a sorcerer or somebody else, somewhere hidden in your mesh of your subtle body? How does it affect somebody?
It affects the individual through false thoughts. So thoughts that, well, in the grand scheme of things, if 99% of thoughts weren't yours, which they aren't, then it doesn't affect on a large scale. But it is lower thought forms. and doing things that may be out of character that come out during certain instances. So, in particular situations, this Horcrux had a plan when it was meshed in there, and it's almost like a detonator.
Yeah, I know where, many situations in my life where I put my foot in my mouth. I did really stupid thing that sabotaged, a lot of stuff. So it's probably that one. So, and it happened to many. Let's see, for Kirstie, does Kirstie have a Horcrux somewhere hidden in there? Ask your high self.
She has cleared over the last couple years 5,000 Horcruxes.
On herself.
Mm-hmm.
And I only have one? Come on.
You have 5.
I win. Nah, I still haven't, so you win. Okay, so most people have a lot of those, or is this only for a particular type of people?
Most people don't have so many. That is quite rare. Most people do have some form of, if not a few, and they're coming to light now. In Kirstie's case, the walk-in soul had a lot of clearings that needed to happen from previous lifetimes.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So, clearing again. Okay, so would you be, or is your high self would be so kind, the most potent aspect, to clear the Horcruxes from us and our watchers here, so I agree, as long as my high self consents, that the Horcrux be cleared on all levels of my being, for all my incarnations, also for my ancestors that I can speak for. Amen. Audience members, please agree for yourself and let it rip.
So with this, the rainbow race Elohim dragons are the best to clear. So most likely you can feel a heat or a tingling sensation in the chest. And breathing deeply. Niaya. Koya. Koya. Koyantak ayantak 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 kur. Nihata hanta hata hanta hata. Releasing, 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 clearing, 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 dissolving, 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 dissolving. Dissolving, 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 dissolving. Yanta shuntak atka tukos atka suntko tkorun tukot korun tutosut korotosut korotosut korotosut. Kianta ata shuntak atka. Ugh.
You spit out a Horcrux. And also any hooks, barbs, wires, and claws, or any other devices with which they anchor themselves into our energies. We like to have those things dissolved. Also any contracts, or deals that were made. Take those to the highest courts of divine justice. They're probably also fake. Have those cleared too. Pick up any little bitty bit that's still left from this Horcrux. And if necessary, take the originator to the highest courts of divine justice to have also the hidden stuff cleared, make any hidden stuff visible, so it can be purified too.
There is one more speck that is there, and it is, you just need to tap. So tapping your heart center. There. There you go.
And as one is leaving, clear all the baggage that's left back. Any backup system, spores, eggs, portals, Russian doll systems, Trojan horses, etc. See, this is the work that Kirstie does. I mean, it's very powerful, that she can see those things. This is how we work. This is just like normal. This is what we do. Okay, so sixth dimension. Negative thought forms, or there are blocks maybe, for us to access this dimension, this ability. And maybe even some clamps on the muscles, so to say. Is there something like this existing with us or humanity?
Not in the sixth dimension. Not in the sixth dimension. There are other aspects to clear in the sixth dimension. And those are false light programming that you can think of that being like a shape-shifting realm.
Give us a good example, maybe of the most common false light programming that our people that are watching this video probably encounter.
Well, you can think of gurus as a false light realm. You can think of shape-shifting realms. Gurus is a pretty good example. Deities are not quite there.
Who?
But deities.
Oh,
deities.
Deities.
Deities. But gurus are convoluted in the sixth dimension. The shape-shifting gurus.
You mean there are like real gurus, sincere, where they basically channel the truth, or channel at least some sampradaya that hasn't been contaminated, with false teachings, And is it something like that, or are these gurus whose teaching have been contaminated, mistranslated or misinterpreted, or are that entities are attached or they're fakers? How would you define that?
Mm. They are a holograph of the real thing. So pretending to be the guru, um, sort of like a back channel that is taking up space in the sixth dimension.
Okay, so this wouldn't be like, yogi or whatever, Vara, you know, um, in India, that, where you do Guru Puja, this is more like a construct of a being that comes to you, with the pretext of having divine knowledge, which is actually misleading you. This is something like that.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of talk about, all kinds of beings, angels, archangels, being compromised. Or there are false versions of them and then the real versions of them, doppelganger or whatever, impersonators, shapeshifters.
Mm-hmm.
So we probably have been had, or maybe still are being had, by false light teachers. With all their programmings and misdirection, and locking up our life force in useless stuff, maybe even stealing our life force. Well, we like to have this cleared and our life force, returned to us. Is this possible?
Yes.
All right, so I give permission, as long as my high self agrees with this, if it's for my highest good, to have this cleared in our audience. Please agree to this too, that you open for the clearing. You can do so now.
I just felt that clearing. That was just so light.
Oh, that was it.
That was it. That was it.
No mumble jumble. All right. Yeah, that doesn't have to be always. This is just the intent. Yeah, now I feel it too. It's, yeah. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So everybody, audience, keep smiling so the the good forces can interact with you. So now, people being misguided, in their whatever they can attempt to visualize. Maybe misguided to, that the top of their imagination is having a Mercedes Benz or something like that, or a trophy wife, or whatever it is. So, and what is the biggest, misguidance, from the sixth dimension that humanity is suffering from?
The biggest misguidance in the sixth dimension are hidden veils, mostly from these false angelic beings. The best way to ensure that you are interacting with a being of the highest heavenly vibration is to feel. So if you don't feel anything, number one, that's a red flag. That's a red flag. If you see or hear whatever, but you don't feel anything, red flag. No, thank you. If you feel something that isn't love, red flag. If you feel an overwhelming sensation of love, that's a green light. So for a lot of people, that it's tricky, but if you follow the feeling, you cannot be misguided in that way.
Yeah, so this is, I do something very similar with my clients, so before we start inviting, any entities, to deal with them, I have them connected to source love in their heart, and then we invite the entities. That could be a ghost or whatever, and then, if it's supposed to be like something sacred, like a high self, we give a source love tester. Just fill yourself with source love and project it onto that being. It's like, serving a ball on tennis. So how can you serve this back? And then we just watch, what's coming back. And I have to say, about maybe 10%, of new clients, there's a fake coming in, when we call on the high self. So a client projects love, and then it's like, it's like something verklemmt, something doesn't feel right, that is not bliss and whatever, and then we call the guards and have this one deported, to the courts of divine justice, for trying to shield us. I don't like that when they try stuff like that. You only try one time. And then we, soup up again with source love, and then ask for the real high self to step forward, and generally the real one comes. And, when you send that love to your high self, there is so much more love coming back. So I call that the echo. You send love and then it comes back multiplied and super sweet. Yeah, it should surpass my client. If it can't surpass the love of my client, it ain't the real thing. So, yeah. Okay, so can we have a pretty please, some light language to remove all the hidden veils that are still left?
So with the hidden veils, the best way to clear is the Andromedan Council. Mm-hmm. And that can be done instantly. It doesn't need light language.
Mm-hmm. All right. So again, we give the Andromedan Council permission, if our high self permits, to clear all the hidden veils that are there. Of course, do this in a way that it doesn't shock us too much. We don't want to have suddenly, 500,000 past lifetimes pop into your awareness. That would be a little too strong of a medicine. There we go. Yeah, 5 seconds. Mm-hmm.
The other thing is false light from the energetic beings of Pleiades.
The Dark Pleiadians?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think all the good races, they have their, dark, dark rebel groups. Of course, humans, for sure. So, we can't just be racist and say they're all good or all bad. There are always exceptions. So all these imposters, where we assume they are divine and have our best interests at mind or at heart, where we got tricked, and through misrepresentation or our own projections, we like to have this cleared out. Amen, 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 on all levels of our being, on our timelines, our manifestations, and also where it affects us and our ancestors, and our DNA, and multi-dimensional manifestations. Amen, amen. There we go.
So there's a recalibration on the sixth dimension, and almost like a tear bleed through from the sixth to the seventh dimension, which is almost like it was there for later purposes. So that can be cleared and closed and secured. And a misguided energy can be removed from Wolfgang and Kirstie.
All right, go ahead, pretty please.
The other big mention is a inverted misaligned realm that is similar to a quantum realm, but is not. So it's almost like a upside down quantum realm. And that can be cleared and monitored. So there's some back channels that need to be closed, and some cords that need to be dissolved. And this can be thought of with the element of fire and water to dissolve the cords and the realm.
We ask that this be done now for our highest good and divine.
So,
oh, go ahead.
With this, the Arcturian Council and the Lyran Council and the Rainbow Race and the Rainbow Race Elohim Dragons. And this is a continuous clearing.
Okay, we give permission. Amen. Audience members, please give permission for yourself. Amen.
Clearing, 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 clearing. Kia ta ayanta ayanta shunta ayanta doshinta kaya gur dissolving, 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 dissolving. Thank you.
Okay, well, we all thank you so much for clearing this for us. Okay, is this everything regarding the 6 dimensions?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, folks, there you have it. I hope you feel lighter. Thank you so much, Kirstie. And again, Kirstie is available for personal sessions, and she also has a workshop in Thailand. Just go to her website, and other places, where she connects, and she has all the links, below. Same for Wolfgang. I give personal sessions only, face-to-face on Zoom. And yeah, give us a thumbs up and share your experiences. If you have questions, we probably answer them. And yeah, drink a lot of water and don't get into your car and drive, and definitely ground. You're probably going to be a space case, and hypersensitive right now. So take it easy. There even may be a healing crisis, where your system has to adjust. It's like a fast. You clear toxins on the astral plane or on the subtle plane, your physical body will follow, as above, so below. And like always, we love you long time. Namaste.
Namaste.